Hi, Dharma Talk, the Bhagavad Gita. This is one of my favorite stories. I read it a long time ago, and coming back to reading it a little bit more mature spiritually is profound. What I love about it is outside of religion, dogma, rules, but it has its roots in spiritual truth. I see it as a sacred text, and I would love for my students to understand it and read it and honor it as well. So, the epic story of the Bhagavad Gita is pulled from a larger story or a bigger text, the Mahabharata. It's basically a story of, two royal families that are in the heavenly realms that are vying for the throne. And so you have the not so good, if you want to call them evil, family with a lot of siblings and brothers that want to take the throne, one brother in particular. And then, of course, we have the good guys that are vying for righteousness, pure nobility, things that are of heaven and not of the earth. And so they know that they have to go to war to fight for the throne. And so they play a game of dice. And as the game goes on, the stakes keep getting higher and higher. And so the last roll is, either you can, if you win, you can have the good guys' army on your side, or you get to ask Krishna to be your charioteer. And so the good guys win. And they huddle and they decide that it's best to have Krishna as their charioteer. And rightfully so, since they stand for the good qualities and the things of God. So they go to battle, and they're on the battlefield. And, as tradition, Arjuna rides across the battlefield to, check out to see the other side. What's the cost? What's at stake here, so to speak. And so what he finds is that he sees his community. He sees people that he loves, people that he's grown up with, his people that has made food for him, long lost cousins. So it's not faceless enemies that he's fighting, it's people that he knows. And so he comes back and comes behind his battalion, for lack of a better word, and slumps into his chariot and removes his armor as a symbol of giving up. And he tells Krishna, I can't fight, I can't do this. And how many times have we been here? And we have to start to sift. We have to sift our hearts and our minds and our spirits. And so he goes through this spiritual anguish. And it is one of the worst kinds of pain, the spiritual anguish or a spiritual pain, because the mind can be retrained, right? The heart can mend, the body can heal. But spiritual anguish is a very painful experience. And so he's actually suffering. And so he starts to have this dialogue with Krishna, and, he's wanting to know all the answers, basically, that we all ask. Do I have a soul? If I kill people that I love or people that I know, am I going to hell? Am I sinning? I mean, it's such a beautiful story because these are things we all come to at some point in our spiritual walk. And so Krishna begins to delve and explain to him that, when we live our dharma, or we walk the path of our calling that's been laid on our lives, when we do it in this bhakti or this devotion to God, that we're protected and that it's right. And we may not know the next step, but we step anyway because we know that God is driving our chariot. He's leading us, he's guiding us. And that kind of changes, the apprehension that we have. Should we walk ahead in trepidation? Maybe. Prudence, you better believe it. Discernment, viveka, yes. But it's that assurance that we have a God there with us, inside of us, in front of us, that has our back. However you want to visualize that for yourself. This is what's happening in the Gita. And so, all of these beautiful things are discovered. We live our lives with selflessness, but also in this devotion to God. And so this selfless act is with no, there's no pretension or no, attachment to however it turns out. And so, with this idea that God is there with me, protecting me, whether it's Christ or Krishna, and I see them very similar, that we're going to be the same, whether we're suffering or whether it's joyful. And I love this idea in the Gita that, when we do something, we do it strictly out of love. No one ever wants to clean the toilets. They always want to be in the spotlight, right? But those of us that do stand behind and do the work that's, the servant work, we do it because we love. We might do it because we love others. We might do it because we love God. It doesn't matter. You're doing it out of love. It's a beautiful thing. And so even the most grueling work, it doesn't seem so daunting when you have that mindset. And so, Krishna shows his full self to Arjuna and all of his beauty, his magnanimous, luminosity, things that we can't comprehend, colors probably that our eyes have never seen in this, physical realm, just this brilliance. And he explains to him, the truth, and shows him things of eternity, the eternal things, the things that last, spiritual truths, what holds it all together. So Arjuna, after understanding, he comes to this place of freedom, moksha, liberation, enlightenment, which is all what we want. And that's the spiritual path. When he finds, this place, he surrenders. And he does what he's called to do. And he does it because he understands who God is and the protection that's around him. But I love the fact that he does it because of the devotion. Because the moments or the days that you get up and you don't want to, and you do it because you love, that puts that wind in the sails. And so this is what freedom is. We do it because we love. Thank you for listening.